Here's the part nobody prepares you for. You walk into a city park and your 8-year-old is on a bench with a stranger who looks like she hasn't slept indoors in a long while, a woman in a torn sweater pointing at a kid's paperback and cheering every hard word like it's a finish line. Do you yank your child away? Do you call somebody? Or do you trust what your gut is telling you right in front of your eyes? That afternoon, a man in a navy suit sprinted toward us like the grass was on fire, his tie flying, his voice breaking on his daughter's name, and I braced for the worst. It didn't come. He stopped an arm's length away, saw the book, saw his kid smiling, saw me not touching anything but the page and said, one thing I hadn't heard from a stranger in months, thank you. My name is Elena. I used to be a principal on the north side of San Antonio. The kind of school where we counted crayons and celebrated every tiny victory, then a season of rumor and paperwork, and an ex-husband who loved leverage more than people knocked my life off its hinges. And overnight, I went from running assemblies to guarding a backpack under a live oak by the river, you know what I mean. Pride kept me upright, but kids still needed help, so I sat in parks and offered what I had left. 10 minutes on fractions, 15 on phonics, a way to turn letters into something brave. And on that day, a girl named Lily plopped down like the bench was hers, tapped a stubborn word and said, "Can you help it?" Keeps jumping, so I did, because teaching is the one thing that still makes the floor hold, still beneath my feet. We were halfway through a sentence when her dad, Adrian West, arrived with a breathless nanny and the kind of panic only a parent knows. And when Lily said, "Dad, this is Ms. Elena, she's helping with the hard words," he studied the scene like a man deciding who he wants to be, not the kind who decides who you have to be. And he sat at the end of the bench and let me finish the paragraph. When Lily made it clean from capital letter to period, she beamed. I told her there she is because that's the trick you teach the sentence, so the kid sees herself, and Adrian heard it, you could tell. Do you teach? He asked, careful and steady, and I said I used to. Now I help when I can, the words used to catching on my tongue like barbed wire. I didn't say homeless. I didn't say the name of the man who made sure certain doors stayed shut. I didn't need to. Some stories are visible even when you don't point. Adrian exhaled in a way that made the air feel less thin and said, "You did in 10 minutes what I haven't been able to do in months." She smiled at a book. Would you consider helping her at our house? A real job? A room with a lock? A paycheck with your name on it? Not charity, and I wanted to say no, because pride and fear sound a lot alike when you're tired, but Lily squeezed my sleeve and whispered, "Please," and I heard my old self answer for me, "Temporary until you find someone better." And he shook his head like relief and said, "Deal." That first night, I stood in a guest room bigger than the dorm at the shelter and stared at a bed that looked like a cloud. I took a shower so long I ran out of tears before I ran out of hot water, wrapped myself in a towel that smelled like oranges, and sat on the edge of that mattress, repeating the 4 new facts of my life. Door lock, quiet, safe. By breakfast, we had a plan. Mornings we did math with food and movement. Lily learned halves and sixths by slicing pan dulce and counting jump rope sets. Afternoons we turned the kitchen into a vocabulary museum with tape and index cards. We wrote colander and whisk and windowsill like they were rare birds. And at dinner we played rose, thorn, bud, one good thing, one hard thing, one hope, simple and honest. The housekeeper, Marla, watched me like a hawk the first few days, because rich houses have their own survival rules. Then she saw Lily teach me to crack a confetti egg without detonating the whole backyard, and laughed so hard she had to sit down, and from then on she treated me like the colleague I used to be, rather than the visitor everyone assumed. At night, I'd stand under the patio lights and breathe while the cicadas tuned up grief lives in big houses like a low hum. Adrian lost his wife 3 years earlier, and you could feel the echo in the way he moved, careful, respectful, trying not to wake anything that had finally fallen asleep. And one evening he joined me on the railing and said, "Big places get quiet in the wrong ways, you're putting the right kind of noise back." And we stood there shoulder to shoulder, not touching, counting the distance and the mercy. When Luminaria lit the riverwalk with paper lanterns, I asked if we could set a small table for Lily's mom, not a shrine. Just photos and notes, and the stories that keep a person human. We lit candles. We told the good parts out loud. Adrian cried the kind of tears that mean thank you, and I miss you at the same time. He reached for my hand without looking. I met him halfway, no speeches, just two people deciding not to carry all the weight alone. For Lily's 9th birthday, we wrapped the backyard in papel picado, hired a trio, set up tacos and cascarones. Adrian asked me to pick a dress that felt like me. And when I walked down the steps in navy, he looked at me like the lights were for me. "You look like the version of yourself the world should have met first," he said soft. I threw him a confetti egg to cut the tension. He cracked it on his own head, and the whole yard cheered. Yeah, that happened. After cake, after goodbye hugs, after Marla declared the kitchen, 80% conquered, the music drifted, and we ended up under the live oak, and he said it plain. "You changed this house, you changed me. Not by trying, by being exactly who you are. I don't need a thank you for the room, I owe you for giving my daughter her laugh back." And the truth rose up in me before the fear could. I liked the way he listened. I liked the way his face relaxed when Lily read. I liked that his footsteps on the stairs didn't make me brace. He smiled, like relief, and kissed me slowly, the kind of first that makes sense of all the lasts. We kept it quiet because small cities love rumors, but joy leaks through any door you try to close. We found a rhythm lesson plans and backyard jokes and tiny moments in the pantry where his hand found mine like muscle memory. And then the past showed up exactly where you'd expect, center stage downtown by the river, all smirk and cufflinks. Trent Calder, my ex, has always loved the big entrance we were heading, for a barge with paper lanterns and a trio playing boleros 2 bridges down, when he stepped into our path and said my name wrong, on purpose, the way a man rebrands your life just to watch it squirm. "Look at you," he said, upgraded from teacher's lounge to waterfront date. And Adrian, God bless him, didn't take the bait. "We're leaving," he said, calm, the way steel is calm, and Trent slid sideways so we couldn't pass. "Does he know why you cry on porches, or did you leave the best part out?" And I felt the floor tilt. "Don't," I said, but Trent never could hear no unless it came with a court seal. "She can't have children," he announced, hands wide like he'd just produced a dove. "That's why I left. I don't collect broken things," and in one breath he turned a scar into a spectacle. There are a dozen ways a man can fail a moment like that, by freezing, by fixing, by pitying. Adrian chose something better. He stepped in front of me like you do when you take a photo for someone you love, and spoke to me first. "Elena, I love you exactly as you are. Lily loves you. We're not missing pieces. We're a family that chose each other then." He looked at Trent and let his voice sharpen just enough. "Find another stage. This one's closed." And Trent denied an audience, smirked, and slunk off, thinking he'd done his damage. He hadn't. On that dock, mascara stinging hands, shaking, I told the truth, the surgery, the quiet after, the way some men sniff for wounds like they're paid a finder's fee. And when I ran out of words, Adrian took a breath like a diver and pulled a small box from his jacket. "I was going to do this 3 bridges downstream," he said, half laugh, half tremble. "But there's something right about telling the truth in the same place someone tried to weaponize it. Will you marry me?" And I am not a say yes because he kneels person. But he wasn't knocking on a door I didn't build. He was asking to move into a house I'd already opened, So I said yes, loud enough to scare the birds. Lily shrieked when we told her, then tried to jump into both our arms at once and almost took us down. "Does this mean you're my mom forever?" she asked, warrior serious. "Forever's a big word," I said, "but I think we're going to grow into it," and she nodded like she'd drafted the contract. We married under the live oak that watched us learn to breathe again, paper banners, backyard tacos, Marla crying and blaming the jalapenos, my dress, simple and honest vows about listening and staying, Lily presenting the rings like a Supreme Court justice, and then cracking a confetti egg on my head to break the tension. We danced until the lights blurred and the neighbor's playlist joined ours. If you're waiting for the part where the world apologized, keep waiting. Trent didn't send flowers, the district didn't issue a press release. Justice didn't arrive with a trumpet. It showed up as a daily decision to build a life in full view of the people who tried to make me small, and never once glance over to check if they're watching. Now here's the part that might get the comments going. A man with money invites a woman with no address into his house. Is that rescue, or risk, kindness, or control? We asked those questions too. We wrote boundaries down. We brought a counselor in. We gave Marla permission to call out anything that felt off. We chose transparency on purpose. I'm not telling you our way. Is the way I'm telling you we earned our peace with clear eyes and hard conversations, not fairy dust. So tell me, if you were Adrian that day on the bench, would you have trusted me with your kid? If you were me, would you have trusted him with your future? Where's the line between help and condescension, caution and fear? Have you seen someone judged by their worst day and then prove everybody wrong? Or watched a second chance go sideways because the first lesson didn't stick? Drop your take in the comments, argue it out. Tell the story you've been carrying. And if this hit you anywhere near the ribs, subscribe. Share it with someone who needs a reason to keep going. I'll be in the replies, still pointing at the next word and saying it slowly. Hope.